to read the next one. And
yes, we really do like your writing.
Thank you.
We don't stumble on your writing.
Thank you.
It's really, really a pleasure.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that.
As I was reading the book, I was like, why isn't this like on the top shelf? Like when you walk in, they have the New York Times bestseller. Like, why isn't this on the front shelf? Like,
I wish.
The writing is just absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I have to,
Clean.
and I have to tell you, I am really, as much as I love supporting authors, I read so much. I do library a lot. I'm a very, very big library and e-reader. And I did buy your book on as an e-book. But it's not because I could not get it in a library. And I was concerned and wanted to point out to you, Cherry Hill Library, which is one of the biggest libraries in all of South Jersey, did not have your book.
Yeah.
And they had to order it. And I'm like, how do we get it on the shelves?
Yeah,
I want.
that's just it. It's
Well, how
people
do we?
asking about
Is
it.
there something we can do to get it on the? I mean, I want my library to have it.
Certainly, yes.
How do we do that?
Mentioning it, if you're in bookstores, at libriaries, or
I couldn't get it at
Barnes.
I couldn't get it at Barnes and Nobles.
Well, Barnes and Noble carries it, but
They had to order it. They were
Yeah.
out. They didn't have it on.
yeah, it depends. At this point, because it's been out a year, you know how long it's on the shelf. And some of them it's pulled back, and they might have shadow out there somewhere. But
Right. When
it's
your next book
people-
comes out, they'll
it's
put up the
people
other.
asking for it, and hopefully. Then it'll show up, and because it's on a shelf, then maybe somebody else picks it up, and then it adds on.
All right.
It's getting visibility for a new author. That's just really the name of the game, you know. Sometimes it lands in the right hands of somebody who of themselves has a lot of visibility. Otherwise, it's a slow process, and that's why I say, readers, you really hold new authors in the palm of your hand. You really do. Because
Okay.
we rely on readers that if you like us, to talk about us.
We
you
also
know.
appreciate, and we've learned from I don't know everyone else, but learning from meeting authors and reading the forwards of other books from other, like acknowledgments and pushes from other authors. Appreciate that you didn't prostrate yourself in front of other authors and get them all to, because now it just comes off as pandering, and it was nice that yours was fresh. And it didn't, and everyone else's reviews will be like a New York Times and other authors saying that you're great.
Right.
We kind of know the system now, and we don't appreciate that just because you ask another
Right.
author to say it.
Yeah, and just to, so you know, it's generally not the author's idea to do that.
I know publishers suck.
Well, no, I love publishers.
Well, we were from
that
lawyers.
what happens is, in today's markets, you have to use every tool that you can. So I think they try to get you to use every tool that you can, and you try. But I understand just what you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a true reading of when James Patterson reviews your book. In an article, in an interview, somebody saying, "Who am I reading?" Well, I'm reading Eileen. Okay, that's different than getting a little one-liner at the beginning that the publisher is putting in the beginning of your book. Real readers are like not loving that. I'm getting. Are you disagreeing with me? Are you okay? I wish you would.
Because that's one of the things that I look for, whether it has a New York Times bestseller.
Oh, New York Times is different from other authors.
Or USA, or the ones that are not well known. But if there's something written on the book that says that somebody read it and they do recommend it, then I would give it. I would take a look at it. There's some people who won't read anything that's not a New York Times bestseller.
I think particularly if you don't know the author, you are relying on somebody giving a little feedback as far as, hey, this was pretty good, and then you think, oh, all right.
Just like when you go to Goodreads, you see a book and you say, okay, well, what did these people think about it? You're interested in what people thought about the book, whether you even should waste the time to even read the book, and you get a feel of it.
Yeah, I maybe I'm different. I go with the description, the synopsis of the story.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want, maybe it's just me, I don't want anyone else's opinion. New York Times and USA Today, when they do it, they seem to me more valid than the same publisher putting out. I got a big author here, and talk about our little guy. That doesn't seem true to me.
Yeah, usually the author does read it though. And I'll tell you, they're particular. Like if an author reads it and just thinks this isn't my thing, they won't do a blurb. I will tell you that. They won't just do them. But it's funny because just of what you're describing, it's why with a book, so many different components are on it. You know, you have some people, they buy just because of the cover. They like the cover, so they put a lot of thought in the cover because they know some people buy based on the cover.
Right.
Some people, like you, buy based on the description on the back. All right? So therefore, they try and do a good job with that.
Yeah.
Other people like to hear somebody read it, or that helps to help.
Yeah.
So they put that. So they're just trying, I think, to use all the tools that they can.
The exception that I find is Stephen King, because he's got his own little column, and he will, I guess because he's his own billionaire, that he doesn't have to pander, and he will write in his column, well, I happen to be reading this and why, and I've looked up the people that he talks about, has nothing to do with any of his own publications or any connection to them.
Could you send him a copy of Promise Bridge?
Maybe you should. But he actually supports and reads a very, even though his stuff is pretty the same.
Yeah, he's very supportive of authors.
Of authors, yeah.
Yes, and honestly, I think one of the things that's been really pleasant for me to learn as I've been newer out of the gate here is authors are really supportive of each other. I think we appreciate the journey we've all been on, and I have really found the authors that I'm fortunate enough to meet and have any kind of chat with and all are very supportive and encouraging, and I really like that about a community. Sometimes you think, oh, is it going to be competitive, or they don't have the time for you. They are really, they try really to be available and good to each other.
In that vein, do you participate in any workshops or anything for new writers yourself?
I don't think.
Or probably you don't have any time yet.
Well, and I don't think I probably need a little more time under my belt for that kind of that. But yes, I've been asked recently. I've been asked to speak to writers at a workshop, which I will certainly do, because you feel like I can now. I'm a little bit further along on the journey, so I can share what I've had. As I was glad to hear that. You sometimes have little surprises along the way. I think one of the surprises I really had with Promise Bridge was that, it is adult fiction, but I've been surprised that it's been picked up by some high schools.
Oh, it does sound, I think it would work because you don't.
A couple of the ones I know were English courses, but there were a couple that were history courses. And I just really liked that in either vein, that they would feel it was a good selection for.
Well, it can because you kept it PG-ish.
Well, and I think that's why I was surprised. Though, didn't write it for that reason.
Yeah, but you didn't put too much heavy sex in it that they couldn't be accepted by them.
And the language is written in such a way that it could. I could see why it could be appropriate then for high school, but it wasn't written with that in mind. I was just writing a story. So that really has been a pleasant surprise, because I spoke to a school in the spring, and the students were assigned it, and I thought, oh, they're assigned it. That group was just, I never met with such an engaged group, and it was a large group of kids, but they were so engaged in the conversation, the Q&A, and I just love that, and you feel like, I'm glad that they felt there was some value to it, that they would give it to their students.
Well, if a teacher read it, I can understand them assigning it because it rings true. It doesn't. You could see that you did research because, we're not just reading fiction. We're not idiots. We really do like to have some sense of order. Like, I love, as fictionalized as Tom Clancy is, I love political intrigue, and all of his stuff that he's ever written comes true. So you know that his stuff is so big. I mean, if you read The Hunt for Red October, I mean, you definitely have to skip over the about submarine. You know that he did the research, and everything he writes rings true, and yours feels the same vein. It's not a total fiction. It really rings true. That's why you're having trouble. identifying with being a fiction writer because you do cross the line's blurred with you.
Well, I think because it's the setting, but I feel it was important to be accurate about the setting. I think it would have been disrespectful not to be.
People are authors are disrespectful.
Yeah, but I won't be. That's
yeah,
just
but
how
that's
I
nice.
write. So you just try real hard, and plus you want it to be a good story. So
That's why we'll read your next one.
well, thank you. I'm really happy to hear that.
Can we get on your
Shadow
website?
of a Quarter Moon.
Can we get on your website to be your next friend, or like when is it going to be released and stuff like
It
that?
came out in July.
Oh, it did. Oh, I'm
That's what I was
sorry.
talking about, that she
Oh, I'm
wanted
sorry. I
to
missed that.
for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to usually have a book in here that
I'm going to ask one more question and we're going to wrap up.
just will show you the cover. Shadow.
Oh, so that's a great.
Oh, hold on. Let me
That's
get
the next book coming out. Well, it's already out. It's
Yes.
released July 2011.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
And we look forward to that.
Yeah, that's been it's been fun now that because I had more than a year now of like my appearances for Promise Bridge, and it was strange to shift over and be talking about another story altogether. But it's nice, and one of the things that I sometimes am asked is, as the second one came out, which one do you like best, or and you really can't say, you can kind of almost equate it to having children, where you
One was
can't
your
choose
first one, which is
one.
special, and then
Well,
another one you get better at it.
I will say one thing that I thought about was with Promise Bridge. It was my first, so it was just such a thrill to get the book deal, to think, oh my God, to see that book on the shelf for the first time is really, it's beyond words, and that's by somebody who writes that it's really beyond words. And I remember thinking to myself, I know I'll like whatever I write because you invest so much time in it, but I thought, I don't know if I will ever love one quite the same as I did this one, because there's just something different. But as soon as I started writing Shadow of a Quarter Moon, I was right there the same, and loved the characters just the same. And it was such a pleasant surprise for me, because I really thought, I don't know if I will ever love one quite the same, because it was the first. And I will say, you really do love them all in their own way, and that's, I was really
Like
happy.
children.
I was really thrilled.
Like your children.
Yeah, I was thrilled that it worked out that way.
And as a last question,
Yes.
we ask all our authors that we visit, what do you advise of new authors? Do you have any advice for them?
I would say, first and foremost, is don't give up, to keep persevering. You always want to get better and better at your craft. So you do that, but it's very easy to give up, particularly if you're submitting out, if you've written something and you're submitting out to either agents or editors, you get a lot of rejection letters, and it is very easy to just feel like it's impossible. You just feel like, you hear, oh my gosh, it's impossible to break in. But I'm from a little town in a little area of Pennsylvania. I have no connections to the publishing world, and I just tried to keep putting it out there, and I don't know why and how it broke through, but it did, and I'm certainly very grateful but that it did. But I'm very glad I didn't give up at times when I just thought, oh, this is probably such a long shot.
Right.
So just don't give up. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And so we're going to wrap. That's the end of our interview and question and answer with
I just want to say, hey, who's here?
with Eileen Clymer Schwab and her first novel, Promise Bridge. And again, we're at D'Angelo's. Thank you. Ritorante Italiano, 256 South 20th Street, Philadelphia, PA. And we'll see you again.
Thank you, Taishina, and to the group. I really, really appreciate you having me down. It was fun meeting you and chatting with you, and hope we do it again sometime.
Thank you. Appreciate it.